is the 77 WABC minicast.
John, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well, and it's a lot of pressure. You put a lot of pressure on the pollster. We just take the polls and report it.
No, you're the best. And all your clients, Mike Lawler, Bibi Netanyahu, President Trump, they're all on my show. All your clients.
Yeah, I've told the president. I wrote his coattails. As long as President Trump is there in office and we've won, you can say all the nice things about me that you want.
100%. And do you think? And I know you don't want to put words in the president's mouth. I'm going to ask you to do it anyway. Okay, but it's fine. Do you think President Trump was happy or unhappy with J.D. Vance yesterday? Just your opinion.
You know, I haven't heard from him about it, but I think the president's focused on winning the war in Iran, and he's trying to do this. He's trying to negotiate with terrorists, and you hear these other people talk about moderate terrorists. There's no such thing. It's an oxymoron, and I'm sure he's trying to do this peacefully, but he's got two goals. One is stopping Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And by the way, in our last June poll, 76% of all Americans approved of that. And about also stopping Iran from funding international terrorism. And 75% of all Americans support that. So he's got these big two objectives that he's trying to accomplish, and the problem is the Iranians don't want to do that. So they want to. They keep firing on our ships, and they keep, they want to close the Strait of Hormuz, and they keep, it's just right now they can't. They don't have the power to attack Israel. But these guys, we've done polls in the United States and in America where 6 out of 10 Americans and 6 out of 10 Israelis think that if Iran had nuclear missiles, they would shoot them at the United States and Iran and Israel, and they would, and that's what they're proving because they have lobbed missiles. You've been in Israel.
I've been there.
They have lobbed missiles into Israel, and Americans would never tolerate this.
Never. Come on.
Spend all night in bomb shelters because of these terrorists, and whether it's rockets from Hezbollah or whether it's missiles straight from Iran. Israel's our strongest ally in the Middle East, and they're the only democracy there, and everybody around them wants to wipe them out. So
what do you think, though, John? The anti-Semites, anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, whatever you want to call them, they're so loud, right? They're so loud. They got their podcasts, and you got a lot of politicians, specifically on the left, that yell and scream this. But when I talk to smart people, like you, smart people, they go, Sid, trust me, this country is still, maybe even overwhelmingly, but at the risk of argument, this country is still pro-Israel, pro-Jewish. We're not a bunch of anti-Semites. What do you think?
Well, I think there is anti-Semitism is rising. And I think that, the president may speak about this tonight. There are foreign powers or influences that try to influence our elections because our strength is our democracy and freedom of speech, and people try to turn that against us. But there's a lot of internet chatter trying to affect the Trump base, saying that Thomas Massie, when you talked about him, Thomas Massie, we did the polling for the president's allies to knock him off in the primary. And we did because he was voting against President Trump on everything from tax cuts. Whenever the Republicans need a vote, he was never there. And securing the border, he wasn't there. And he the night he loses, he's talking about Tel Aviv and stuff. So there's this anti-Semitism out there that's on the rise. We see it. We're New Yorkers. I got friends who tell me they can't wear yarmulkes on the subways because they're afraid.
I know, but they shouldn't do that. They should leave it on.
But still, it's a reality. And I'm helping Bruce Blakeman run for governor, and anti-Semitism is a real problem. And Bruce is doing very well with the voters, and particularly with Jewish voters. But when you look at the United States, Donald Trump's base is rock solid. We had in that same poll I mentioned, he had a 50% approval rating and he had a 46 disapprove. The Republicans, it's 88-10. Conservatives, it's 79-17. And that's the point about, look at these primaries. Virtually everyone he endorses wins. Right. Because he's reshaped the Republican Party into a movement that's this Make America First movement that is really solid, and they support him. because they know his objectives are right. Keeping America strong, keeping America prosperous, reducing inflation, helping us with the cost of living, securing the borders. He's a businessman. He keeps his promises. He's not a politician who just reads the polls and asks, what do I need to do? I mean, he goes and he decides, I'm going to have no tax on tips, and then we have to poll it.
Right.
Find out if it's popular.
It was very popular. John McLaughlin, so you mentioned Bruce Blakeman. My son is actually working for Bruce, day 4 for Gabe Rosenberg, and he loves him and I love him, and, we keep saying the same thing. I said to Bruce last week, John, I said, Bruce, is there an undue amount of pressure on you? Because you hear this every day. Even I've said it. New York is done if you don't win. You are the only person that can save New York between Mamdani and Hochul. And he was honest. He said, Sid, you know what? It is a lot of pressure. But if somebody's got to do it, I want to be the guy to do it. So the last we saw, those polls went from 27 down to, I believe, 6 down.
6.
Is that what your most recent poll says?
Well, that was a published poll. I haven't done a statewide poll for Bruce since March because he's raising money right now, accumulating resources. I see polls from around the state all the time, and he's winning in upstate districts. On the island, he's winning really well. And for the Republicans, I mean, he's the only thing going on to help, like, our candidates for Congress and other offices, because the candidates for Congress behind him are doing well, and Hochul and Democrats know it, and they're going off on this crazy big government socialist march, where if Bruce doesn't win, it's really bad for those of us who decide to stay and live in New York, and we'll face future taxes. The city's in a deficit for billions. The state's in a deficit for billions. People, everybody talks about people leaving. Bruce is worried about the people that are staying in New York because their kids are here, their grandkids are here, their businesses are here. I mean, when they talk about those millionaires who left New York and it cost us $10 billion in revenue, most of those are small business owners. When they leave New York, they take their jobs with them. So, they're subchapter S corps. They pay the taxes and for New York State, this election, Mamdani gets whatever he wants for Governor Hochul. And if he wants to raise property taxes in New York City, he wants the state to raise income and corporate taxes. I mean, if Bruce doesn't win,
nightmare.
But Dad, we're going to, and let alone crime. They're going to shut Rikers Island, and so Bruce is running because he knows he has to win, and he really wants to. He wants to do it for New York. He loves New York. I mean, he's doing a great job in Nassau County, but he didn't have to run for this, and it's a difficult race. The fundraising probably is the hardest part because you got Hochul trying not to give him the matching funds, which was legal and deserved. You've got you got her trying to threaten donors, et cetera, where she doesn't, because if Bruce gets money, the people that know them both equally, when they see them both, if Bruce's favorables rise, they vote for Bruce. They'd rather see him as governor than her.
All right, about 2 minutes to go. I've been talking about J.D. Vance all morning. I want Marco Rubio, but the people I speak to, big time people, okay, they're like, it ain't going to happen. Trump is going to endorse J.D., and Rubio is not even going to run. So are you doing polls leading up to the next presidential election that include Rubio with Vance, or are you leaving Rubio out?
Well, just for the record, my brother Jim and I, we're focused on November 3rd. We've got to have our candidates succeed this November, because if we don't win, these big government socialists that get elected to Congress and other offices from the Democrats, they will be the tail wagging the dog. So we're focused on that. But in the meantime, we do on our website, on McLaughlinOnline.com, we publish a national poll like every month of who's leading among Republicans and Democrats. And among the Democrats, you got Kamala Harris at 26%, Newsom at 16%, AOC at 9%, and Buttigieg at 8%. So, and then for the Republicans, we've got JD at 35% and Marco at 15% and Don Trump Jr. at 14%. So it's like there's a lot going to happen based on November 4th, based on November 3rd.
That's fair.
And there'll probably be a free-for-all. But you know what? Let's get through November 3rd, where we can hold the House, we can hold the Senate, and then at the same time, we got to get guys like Michael Lawler reelected. We got to get we want to win the seats in Long Island, in Nassau County, the 3rd and the 4th. I mean, Janine Driscoll and Mike LaPetri are running. We've got really important elections to focus on between now and November 3rd. November 4th, it'll be a free-for-all.
Right, then we'll talk about the presidential, right, the mayor's race.